Max, however, would he leave Red Bull? And that's what really started all of this. What's the conversation on Max Verstappen? Is he going to leave? I also don't think so. In a nutshell, I don't think so. But there's a lot of things that circulate this story. There's a lot of conversation. And in 2026, it sounds like they'll be, let's see, they're going to be behind Mercedes in their engine development, their first year of their Ford partnership. There's going to be a lot of change between the engine regulations. There's even discussions being had about certain performance measures not quite being up to snuff yet. But engine regulations are changing massively. I don't think Verstappen is actually going to push himself out until at least the middle of next year. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. He's gonna see what the actual lay of the land is. He's gonna see how things are looking. He's gonna get an idea of like, okay, this engine in Red Bull powertrains, it's absolute crap. It's garbage. Right. Or it's great and I'm competitive and I can at least I can see the trajectory here. I can stay here, commit myself to this project and finish out my contract at the very least. I don't think he's going to leave. At the earliest, you're not going to see Max Verstappen in another car until 2027. But if he is going to go anywhere, Aston Martin make a whole lot of sense. And here's a lot of the reasons why. Aston Martin is kind of the only place that makes sense. Aston Martin's got Adrian Newey, and they're going to have Honda engines, which could make things very interesting. You mentioned it earlier. Reports of a 300 million euro offer to the Dutchman have been circulating. Aston Martin are in prime position because McLaren are certainly not going to move off of Lando and Oscar unless something wild happens. But Oscar just re-upped on a massive extension. George Russell, Kimi Antonelli, we just established, very unlikely to be going away in either direction. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, they're committed to Ferrari for the next 3 to 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. So who's left? Williams? Nope. Alpine, they're going to have a Mercedes engine in the next regulations, but it just doesn't feel right. Audi? Nope. Cadillac? Nope. Haas? No way. Aston Martin are the only place that makes sense to me.
Well, they're also the only team that I can think of that can shell out that amount of money for Max.
But they have 2 drivers, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but still.
Yeah. Fernando Alonso, who signed a multi-year extension with the team. But who else is on that team?
Oh, what's his name?
Oh, it's coming back to me. He's the only guy who scored points this year for Aston Martin.
I can't remember his name. He's from like Canada or something.
Yeah.
Look, I get it. I think if Max goes to Aston Martin, I think it's more of a, hey, Fernando Alonso's retiring and we're going to pair Max with Lance.
So you think it would have to be Max and Lance?
I think it would have to be. I don't see a situation. I think that's what Lawrence wants because that makes it easy on him. That means he doesn't have to tell his son to sit the bench so that way he can bring on the best driver. And
so are you ready?
Sport.
Are you ready for this last chunk of information I'm about to throw at you?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I've been doing some digging into this, and there have been a lot of conversations.
Not just Twitter digging?
No. Actual Reddit journalism.
Okay.
No. Actual journalism. I went. There's some sources out here for this. So Reuters, F1 team ownership could be the next F1 step for Saudi Arabia. This is a very interesting article. I want you to keep it in mind. So Lance Stroll, I bring him up specifically. Alonso, a guy that has that multi-year deal. He's going to be there for at least the next few years. I don't think that's going to change. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. In a nutshell, excuse me, Lance Stroll is on a goodwill year-to-year deal because of his father, Lawrence Stroll, who owns the majority stake of Aston Martin as an organization, not just as a Formula One racing team, but he owns the majority of the team. So with that in mind, I want to say his ownership, is 33%. There are the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, or PIF for short. They own 20% of Aston Martin and are looking to buy out Lawrence Stroll and take over ownership of the team, according to reports. And this could be really interesting to follow because it absolutely ties to the Max Verstappen stuff. It absolutely is tied into that. Other teams that own investments in Formula One, you're a McLaren fan. I don't know if you know this. Bahrain's Sovereign Wealth Management Fund is a major shareholder in the reigning Constructor World Champions, McLaren, as cited in this Reuters article. Abu Dhabi's CVNY Holdings also acquired McLaren Automotive, or are acquiring, in the process of acquiring, and Qatar's investment authority, the QIA, owned a minority stake in Audi. So Middle Eastern countries having an investment in Formula One teams is not a foreign concept to the sport of Formula One. It is a very entrenched thing in Formula One at this stage of the championship's history. And on top of this, Lawrence Stroll's investment is very much so centered not just around the brand of Aston Martin, which is a very luxurious, very beautiful brand. You know, that their cars are gorgeous. Hell, I drove one away from my wedding when I got married last year. And they're gorgeous cars. It was a dream of mine to drive an Aston Martin DB9. I love Aston Martins, believe me. But with all that being said, if Lance Stroll doesn't really want to do it anymore, and his dad doesn't necessarily really want to do it anymore, sells the team over to Saudi Arabia, they absolutely are going to have the funds to put $300 million in the Dutchman's pockets,
they could put
or more.
Plus. They could put 300 plus,
and all the extra money and incentive to continue to build the Aston Martin racing team or whatever they decide to name it moving forward.
I mean, you saw what.
So that's not
changing sports. You saw what the Saudi Arabia fund could build up for Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean,
yeah. You got the Live Golf tournament.
Just
right?
imagine what they could do for Max Verstappen. Oh, dude.
Yeah,
300. They're like 300, and then what? It's like that. So there's a what? Like the down
you
payment, or
you want an island?
Yeah,
dude, it's yours.
Yeah,
just name your price, man.
We'll call the team Max Verstappen.
And think about this too. The infrastructure would absolutely be there. Spare no expense. You're trying to build a championship level team, right?
Do you think they would have the ability to get any power unit that they want?
I mean, they're going to have the Honda power unit, which is historically speaking a pretty strong organization to be working with. So
it's definitely the organization that Max prefers.
Yeah, I mean he's won championships with them. He's won all of his driver championships under Honda engines. So all that being said, there is a realistic world where Lawrence Stroll is not going to be the owner and the face of the Formula One team that is known as Aston Martin currently, and Lance Stroll will be easily the odd man out. The Saudi Arabian, their investment, they come in. Lance Stroll will not be driving in Formula One. I'll put it like that. It'll be Fernando Alonso if he's still here the next few years, and it'll be whoever they absolutely can get their hands on to put in that cockpit. So
I like your speculation.
I appreciate it.
That was nice.
I appreciate
TLPs, let us know what you think about that. I don't know any other F1 podcast that is bringing out speculation and talking like that, but we bring it here on TLP.
Hey, look, and that's just a theory. We'll see how it goes, but there are machinations at work. There are things that are happening behind the scenes, and there are things that are even leaking to the media.